Hi guys, hope everybody's doing well. I thought for our second project, we would do some computer graphics. Since we all have our Chromebooks, there is a program on your computer, and you can see it right here on mine. It's called Sketchpad. If you don't have it installed, you're going to have to let me know, and I'll talk to Mrs. Hanson. But she did assure me that they should all be installed on the computers. So we are going to double click on that icon to bring up Sketchpad Draw. And let me explain what we have here. This is just an introduction right now. And then I'm going to give you new videos each day to kind of try some new things. And then we'll do a fun little project at the end. Okay. So, so for starters, you have, let me explain this bar over here on the left. At the top, these are your tools. Okay. If you click them, then they will show you all of the different settings that you can do and all of the different tools. And I'll get to those in a minute. If you click them again, you can hide them. So if you're working on something and you just need more space, you can always click those out of the way. Below that is layers. We'll get more into that later. Underneath that is history, which I'll show you. An undo, which is a really important thing. You can undo multiple times, but I'll show you how to jump that way back if you need to through the history. Down at the bottom, the plus mark means new, so that's what you would click that for a new document to start working on. And I kind of want you guys, just for fun, if you click over here on this arrow, you see I've got mine set for Instagram because I thought that'd be fun to stick on my Instagram, some of the stuff you guys are doing. So you have the different viewpoint media, social media. You've got, if you're doing digital, they go by pixels. So that's what those big numbers are for. And I'll give you more information on that too. There's more digital screens, which would be for your Facebooks, your Instagram, your TikToks, whatever you're working on. You can design it for a specific paper size. So we have poster, legal, letter, photo, postcard, index cards. So you can see there's some preset, and t-shirts. So if you want to design something for a t-shirt, how cool is that, right? So here we have some men's and women's basic graphic sizes that you can do. So we are just going to play around today. Just for today, we're going to do something small. So again, I'm just going to the 640 by 640 Instagram pixels. And then you have some other options. And by the way, PX stands for pixel. If you click next to that, these are the different units of measurement. So you have inches is IN, MM stands for millimeter, and CM stands for centimeter. So if we were needing something to print out, normally inches is used if you're printing something, and pixels is always if it's going to be on the computer or your phone or whatever. So the other thing we have here is that you can automatically have a blank, a grid, graph paper. You can have it lined, transparent, blueprint, notebook, and loose leaf. So there's some different options. For right now, let's just go with blank. So when you click on it, you should see that it highlights it. Click create, and you should have this nice blank page. Now, if you put your fingers on your trackpad, if you use two fingers, sorry, I'm going to get used to having my picture here somewhere. If you put two fingers on there, you can slide it back and forth. And if you go like this and you spread your fingers out, it'll let you zoom in. If you pull your fingers together, it'll let you zoom back out. So spread your fingers out, zoom, and put your fingers back together is to be able to get it back to 100%. All right, so you have your background. Now, if you look here, I'm on my layers. So that was the last thing I clicked. So it says here, background. Now, if you want to have a color for your background, let's talk about that because that's an important thing that you can do. And I have brushes on right now. So if you can go over here to a vector fill, you go to your fill bucket. It's called vector fill. We can put in one solid color in the background. And you can see here, there's my bucket and there's an arrow and there's your fill square and then it says 100%. You can change what's called an opacity, which means the opacity is how much you can see through something. So the more transparent it is, the lower the numbers. So we'll play around with that a little bit. Okay, let's go back. So basic fill is you click on your fill box over here on your computer, and then you're going to see that we have 4 options. You have color, you have linear, radial, and pattern. So if you click, let's click on color first. You can see that these are all pre-set up colors for you. And there's our value. Ooh, guys, notice some of these words. So we have a value scale going on. Remember what our value is? I hope you remember. I wish I could do a question and answer here. But it is our gray scale. It's from color from light to darks, okay? So there's our value. In here we have our colors. You can see they go down. So these are gray values up at the top, and if you look down, these are all these colors here have been mixed with white, a little less white, a little less white. It goes down to true color, which is our hue or our chroma. Okay. So how bright it is our chroma. And then you can see that a little bit of black has been added in down here and a little more black. So it's kind of like us mixing paint when we do that. So you can also look down here in the bottom. You can find your own. Let me show you how to find your own colors. So up here at the top left corner is your true white. At the top right corner is your true whatever color you're working with. So if I'm over here on the right hand, see this rainbow column? You can put your cursor here and you can find a color. So if you click on a color, you can use your eyedropper. Maybe. All right, scratch that. Mrs. Bergey's not getting, oh, because it's all, there it goes. Okay, I had to bring my dot up. My dot was sitting down here in the black. So this little dot, you can click on your dot and you can drag it around. You're going to see over here, this little color changes, and it has 8E, 8E, 9B. All right, that's the color system. That's the name for that color. So those are just the numbers. So if you ever need to use one over again and you can't remember and you've gotten rid of that document, you can always write that number down. Most of the time you don't need to do that. But so down here's your black. Your bottom is all black, okay? All this stuff on the left-hand side is just grays. So that's just your value in gray. So if you take this cursor, and this is with every color, so you will always have that. So if I go over here, you can see all I have in my fill box is the gray, okay? If I go over here clear to my right, that is pure chroma. It has had nothing else added, but now this is starting to add some blacks. Do you see that? As I go toward the white, I'm getting lighter, my lighter colors. And I go in the middle, it's adding grays. So it's adding our values, okay? Hopefully, again, you guys remember this from our color theory that we did. So I'm going to choose some sort of color here, and I'm kind of in a fall mode, almost Christmas mode. And I'm going to choose this color, and you can see that it's over here in my fill box, okay? So then all I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn that arrow down so I don't have to look at that, and I am going to, you can vector fill it or you can pixel fill it. There's a difference, and I'll get into that later. For now, we'll just vector fill. Actually, we'll pixel fill. We'll have to change our color over again. So pixel's a little different. If you've ever messed with Photoshop, I don't know if you have Photoshop. This is very similar to how this works. So I'm going to choose my color. I'll show you what these other ones do here in a minute. Notice that with pixel fill, we have some more options. We have paint into layer. If you turn that off, then it won't paint right away. But if we have it on, then it will. I'll explain normal. Don't mess with that yet. Tolerance, I will explain that later in continue. So you can see here that wherever I click, it inserts that color. All right. You still with me? If you go to the pixel fill and let's say, I'm just going to grab a color that pre-exists. Let me go with this violet. Ooh, that would be bad. I'm going to go with yellow. Ooh. And I clicked, because that was a solid color, it filled real fast. Now, if I just want to drop my opacity, you can click and drag over your numbers, and you can type on your keyboard. So let's say 50%. And then if I go over here, actually I need to, let me show you how to get out of this. So if I have put things over here on the screen and I need to get rid of something, remember that thing that I said was history? It's this kind of backwards arrow. It looks almost like a clock. If you click on that, you're going to see it shows every step that we just made. Every step. Whoa. Mind-boggling. All right. But you need to go ahead and if you just click on one behind the last one, you can undo, clear down to when you started. So if you go back to new, that's when we first opened this document. So then if you wanted to go back in, and then I wanted to put in a fill at 50%, now can you see that I have this lighter tint to my tint? It does come in as a tint because I have a white background. All right, I hope that made sense. I hope that wasn't too crazy. I am going to introduce the paintbrush, and then I'm going to stop there. And no, you know what? We'll do shapes. We'll do shapes. So we'll do our fill bucket and we'll do our shapes. And I'll explain the whole normal thing here because this is in other tools. Let's click up here on the star tool. So on the star, these are our tools, and the only reason mine's a star is because that's the last thing I was playing around with. So if you see there's an arrow, anytime you see an arrow, that means there's more tools. Click on it. So when I click on it, you can see that we have square, rectangle, or regular polygon, triangle, burst, star, circle, ellipse, ring, pie, radial burst, gear, spiral, and heart. A lot of cool stuff. So you can choose one of these. So I'm just going to stay on star for the moment. With that, you have what's called a fill and an outline. And they do exactly what you would think those mean. So on the fill, I'm just going to click here. Now, we did color, so you can go in and you can choose a color. You know, if I wanted this, it gives you a brief idea over here what that's going to look like, okay? If you go to linear, you have basically, they're like gradations from side to side. Can you change that angle? Do they always have to be left to right? You can change it. It's a computer. So if you click on, let's say this one up here, you can see that down here it says angle, and I can rotate that gradient. Pretty cool, huh? Now, what noise does, I don't know if you just saw that. It's kind of hard to see. I'll just hold my key. I'll hold down my angle. So the noise just puts in texture. I don't use noise real often when I'm designing on the computer. And by the way, I have taught computer programs for 16 plus years. I am actually a graphic designer by profession, and teacher second. So I've done a lot of work on the computer. I've done a lot of stuff. So this program is kind of fun. But anyway, I've never had to use noise. Just thought I'd share. So I'm going to turn noise off because I like to have nice, smooth transitions. You can also go over here to radial. And radial, you guys hopefully remember we've talked about radial. Like, what is radial design? Radial it's a circle pattern. It goes out. It radiates. It goes from a core and out. So this is exactly what this does. So you've got different radial patterns. Yes, you can add noise to that as well. And you see it just kind of makes it look just a little bit different. So I'll turn that off. You have a pattern. So up here, these are all just presets. So if you just scroll through it, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. You can have leaf pattern. You can do swirls. whatever. It's fun. And you can use, most of the tools have these on them. Most, not all, but. So I'll go with a linear just for fun. Let's go back to this one. All right, so how do we use it? So we've picked our color, we've picked how we're going to fill it. I'm going to turn that so you don't have to look at that anymore. You have that opacity. I'm going to get to that in a second. You have an outline. So this is simply if you want an outline around your shape. You don't have to do that. A lot of times what you're working on, you're going to be like, nah, I don't need that. So again, you can just click in that box. It brings up your color picker. You can go through and you can make your outline totally different. So like maybe I wanted a green one. You can change how thick the line is. So you can see here, I can make it a lot bigger. I can make it a lot smaller. I can take it clear down to nothing to get rid of it. So if I don't want a line, just take it down to 0. Okay. You can do what's called a miter or a bevel. And a miter just makes it a nice crisp edge at the end, and a bevel kind of pulls it in. So I'll show you that too. Let me go with miter first. All right, I'm just going to, let me find a different line or a different color since I'll do purple. All right, so we'll run with this for the moment, and then I'll show you how you can change things, okay? You can paint into layer, or if I click that off, I'll show you what happens. So we can paint straight on, remember our layers? We could paint back here on our background, but I'm going to leave that as a separate layer. It's nice to have layers different because then they kind of build on top of each other. But for starters, you can just paint on the layer. It's fine. I just want to show you. So I'm going to and you can rotate. So you're just going to click and drag with your mouse. Hopefully you guys have a mouse. It's a little more challenging just with your fingers on the trackpad, but you can do what you need to do. Use what tools you have. It'll work. So as long as you're learning and trying to figure stuff out. So once I pull and drag, there's my shape. What happens if I want to change it again? Do I use that same shape? No, because that's what happens is I pull a second one. All right. How I can adjust it is there's an arrow tool over here on my tool panel. Do you guys see here? It's called the select tool. I click on that. This allows you to move, rotate, scale, delete, and recognize the layers. So all I can do is I click on it. I can move it around. If I want to adjust it, do you see the rounded double arrow up here on the corner? Click on that and you can rotate it. Okay. To resize it, you can click on a corner and drag it in, or you can drag it so that it goes off the page. Having some things off your page isn't a big deal. It's kind of fun, actually. I'm going to, what happens if I want to change this? What if I want the little star to be in front of the big star? Well, let's look at our layers again. So right now, because I took off, do you guys remember? Whoops, let me get back here. Do you remember when I was here, it said paint into layer? Because I turned that off. Every time I pulled another shape, it put it on a different layer. Now, you may not want that. So it's something to consider, to kind of think about. So here's what's nice about this. Do you see there's a little eyeball that shows up right here on that layer? So this is my first star. If I'm not sure and I need to move one of my stars, one of my layers, you can actually click on it and you can drag it above. Whatever is the top layer is going to be in front of everything else. So if you need something to be behind something else, drag it below it. That's what's nice about layers. So they're very editable. So what happens if I'm not sure? Like I go, okay, I'm on a star layer. Which star is this? Easy way is click on that eyeball. If it disappears, that's your star. Okay, or that's whatever's on that layer. So you can click back on to make it work. There's 3 dots to the right. Let me show you that one more time. These 3 dots here on that layer, if I click on those 3 dots, I have options. I can do send to back, send to front, send backwards, send forwards, duplicate, and delete. So if you don't want that star at all, you can do it this way. A way to just get rid of it is just to go on your keyboard and hit your delete key. It's that simple. All right. Don't make it, it's not complex. It's going to take you a little bit to get used to. Absolutely. Do it. But don't make it harder than it is. So you can just click and it'll put stars. Now, if I do paint into layer, if you look right now, I didn't have paint into layer on. Look how many star layers I have. Pretty crazy, huh? You can hold your shift key and select multiple layers. So if you want these layers to go behind your big star, then you can drag those all down at the same time. Well, that kind of didn't do it, but now you're really at a conundrum, huh? So you're like, well, that one's in front. Anyway, so that's how you can move your layers around. Okay. Let me go back to here. So let's try a different shape. This time whoop, I didn't mean to do that. I added another. Again, if you need to just go back one, this is your undo over here on the bar. Just click undo. There's a redo. So if you accidentally take something out, so like I can delete multiple things multiple times backwards. If you go, oh no, I didn't mean to delete that, click redo and you can put it back in. All right. Let me just give my star some other things here. I'm just going to give him some solid colors. And we'll go with black just because I can. All right. Back to here. I'm going to change shapes. Let's go with a polygon. Okay. I am going to pull this. Now, I pulled it. It's big, so it went off my page, but I want it on my page. So I go over to my tools, grab my selection tool, click on that polygon, drag it into place. Okay, just like that. Resize it, rotate it, whatever you need to do. Now, I am going to do this. I want to continue to put some shapes on here, but I want them to all be in the, let me go back to my tools here. There we go. I want them to all be on the same layer. So I want to have all those shapes on the same layer. So I have to click paint into layer. So I'm just going to click here. Now what I need to make sure, I'm right now on my regular polygon. Okay. I'm going to go over here, paint into layer. Now I'm going to add, let me go to my polygon. I'll try a radial burst because it's fun. Change the color. We'll make it radial. See what kind of a fun radial burst you can make there. I know some of you are like having a lot of fun with this. Oh, I want you to do one other thing here. Hold on a second. All right. That's pretty crazy. Now, let's play around with our opacity real fast. So go up to your fill, click on that, go over to the 100%. I want you to click and drag over that, type in 50. Click on your outline a second. Actually, go down to your line width. I'm going to drop my line width way down because it's just too thick for me. All right. So right now you can see, if you click and drag it, look what just happened. So it went very subtly in the background, which is kind of cool. You got to admit. But it didn't go where I wanted it to. So I'm going to actually show you if I go ahead, because I had paint into layer. I want to show you what this will do. Have you noticed that it's going into my star, into my polygon? Let's take a look at our layers. All right. So what it's doing is it has just started putting it into the shapes. So you have to be kind of careful where you click. So I'm going to go back here and try this again. So if I've got my radial burst, let's try, I'm going to try a heart this time. I'm going to put in a pattern. Okay. Now, because I clicked in the background and started dragging, it put it in the background. I'm going to put it over top of this star up on the left-hand side and start dragging. Can you tell right there that it is putting it inside? So wherever you click, that's where it's putting it, whether it's in the background or whether it's putting it inside the shape. All right. I think that's kind of enough for today. So what I want you to do is play around with it. I want you just to mess around with these shapes. Look at your layers. Try rearranging your layers. Try seeing if you can go in, send to back, send to front, trying to figure out where things are. I'm going to show you here real quick. Let me figure out which star this is. So this is my little star right here. Actually, let me go with my bigger star. And if you just go in here and you click, it should highlight it too. There's a lot of different ways to do stuff. I've always told my students there's more than one way to do anything on a computer. So that's good news for you. So I have my big one here. I'm going to go over to my triple lines. You can go to send to back. It should be behind absolutely everything. Now, what if I go here? And you notice that my layer lineup has changed. So it's no longer toward the top. It jumped to the bottom. So now I'm going to take it. I'm going to click on that. Whoops, I'm on the wrong one. And I'm going to say send forward. Notice that it jumped forward one shape. Send forward or send backward only jumps one shape. If you say send to front, it jumps clear to the front in front of absolutely everything. If it's send to the back, it goes behind absolutely everything. So let me show you that. If I go send to front, now it is in front. Now it looks kind of weird because I've got this design on the inside of it, but yeah, I think you get the picture. All right. The only other thing I can tell you is that like I said, if you need to delete things, you can delete them. If you wanted to start a new page, you can click your plus mark here. You could get another screen to just kind of play around with. It does save it. I have mine. If you go to your settings, because you need to save your stuff, click on those gears down at the bottom of your panel. And over here, you have store files in Google Drive. You should click that, enable that. That way you know where your files are. You can access them to turn into me, all right? Autosave, click that. Because if you forget and your computer crashes, it's gone. It's gone. Snap to guides, keep that on. We'll talk about guides and stuff next lesson. And you can play around with themes or whatever you want to do. But anyway, I just want you to save it in Google. So it automatically, if you click on the folder now, it automatically saves it. All right. Or you can't. And then when you we'll talk about exporting it in a minute. But so there is and if you want to work on it again, you can click on the settings. You can say open, delete, duplicate, rename. So what if I want to say first lesson? And now it is titled first lesson. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope you're getting excited because I think this is a really fun program and I think you're going to enjoy it. So again, get a mouse. If you don't have one, let me know. I think I have extras here somewhere, or maybe even I'll give you some of my extra ones from home. I don't know. So we'll figure something out. I'll talk to Mrs. Hanson. So shoot me emails. Let me know how you're doing. If there's something you want me to go back over, or if you have questions, I am going to meet with you guys more. I'm going to send you out these videos each time, and the Zoom meeting is more or less for us to kind of question and answer. I can put this screen up and kind of go back over things you aren't understanding, or you need help with, or if you want to share something. So I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you guys and hope to see you December 1st. Have a good one. Take care. Have fun. Bye-bye.